And pull that down. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you grow up in Oregon?
I did not. I grew up in Washington, mostly in Spokane.
Oh, okay. And then moved?
Yeah, I lived in Washington and then Montana for a little bit, and then now I'm in Oregon.
So I read that obviously music was a big part of your life. Did you start really early, or was it something that you saw was a part of you, like high school or something like that? Or
Yeah, I definitely started really early. I had piano lessons when I was really little. So I think I started when I was around 3. And then I took them for about 4 years. But then after that, I was self-taught and taught myself guitar and everything else. Yeah.
No teachers?
Nope. I mean, I did have choir teachers, so that helped with the singing and, you know, confidence, really.
So basically, you probably listened to like 20 different singers and kind of came up with your own style?
I think early on I definitely was emulating Norah Jones a lot. I really liked Norah Jones.
Yeah, she's amazing. So the music scene there now in Portland, is it something that you're part of, or is it something that you're trying to, is it still a good scene? Is there?
Yeah, there's a great music scene in Portland. There's such an incredible array of talent, and I know so many of the musicians there. It's been so fun to sort of slowly get into the music scene and meet everybody and become a part of it. But I definitely I feel like I'm at the point where I'm ready to branch out a little bit maybe and go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's like a natural progression for anybody.
Yeah.
So I already heard about the story with Andy, the judge, him being a judge on something. You didn't know anything about him being in Coney Hatch before that?
No, no, I
so
thought he was
bizarre.
like an A&R guy. I don't know why. I looked up his name and it was just like, oh, he works at this music company. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's good. Like you were saying, you were lucky that you didn't know him.
Yeah.
And you didn't know who Alex was or whoever.
Yeah, I was just completely oblivious. Like I knew who Alex was. I just I had no idea that Andy was connected to Alex, and I was very oblivious to the whole situation for a long time.
Did you when he asked you, was it right then at that conversation on the Zoom call or whatever, or did you have some sort of conversations in between where then you said yes? Or did you say yes right away?
It just kind of progressed naturally because we were on the Zoom call talking about music and I was asking him mostly music business questions because I was like, oh, he's in the industry, like what do I do here and how do I get my music here? And then he was talking about my music and what he really liked, and there was a song that I had that was a collaboration that was more industrial and just darker, and he's like, I love that song, I've actually got some music that's pretty similar to it that I've been working on, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. If you ever need a vocalist, let me know. I didn't really think much about it, and he just took me up on that.
Was there a time frame in between that conversation and then when you decided to jump in?
No,
Or was it
it
like,
was just like, yeah, okay,
it was like
yeah,
right
let's do it.
then?
Like literally, like later that day, he sent me
later
a song.
that day?
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so I guess they were under a schedule or something, apparently.
Yeah, well, Alex hadn't really, like, it was just Andy and Alf at that point.
Oh, I
and
see.
so we had started working on that music, and again, I had no idea still who Andy was. I was just like, yeah, this, like, A&R guy, he's got some great music. This is awesome. And we started working, we had worked on, I think, 2 songs before he sent it to Alex, and then Alex sort of jumped on board the project as it was.
So basically, the chemistry is a really big part of any band, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was going to be like a little bit different, like, you know, the way you guys are going to be recording and stuff. Was that, did you know that that was the way it was going to be?
Yeah, I just figured it would be sort of a long distance collaboration, especially, you know, he was in Canada, and I was in Portland at the time, still am, but yeah, I just figured it was going to be sort of a long distance collaboration, which I'd already started doing some of that. It's such a modern way of collaborating, I think. You know, you just send files back and forth, and sometimes you don't even meet the people that you're making music with, which is kind of crazy.
So you already did it. I don't think I've ever done that before in terms of my music career, but is that all you know? You've been in bands.
I've been in bands, and I've collaborated with, there's 2 female singers that I collaborate with in Portland. They're in a band called Dreadlight, and we'll sort of make a band together and do fun collaborations. We did Hex Girls from Scooby-Doo, and dressed up as those characters and then did a collaboration together, but that was in person. So
and
I've had
you
that
were
experience.
Daphne, right?
I was not Daphne. I was
Wilma. No.
Well, it's like the Hex Girls are like these witches. They're like their own thing. Although we did bring Daphne in for the second one. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything was shared online. So who coordinated the bit rates and like getting like sort of the nitty gritty of all that stuff? So.
It was pure chaos, honestly.
Yes.
So I always felt bad for Alf. So Alf was doing a lot of the work of consolidating all of our files and getting everything to the same sample rate, and you know, and it's so funny because I usually record at 96. I'm trying to be more aware of where music is heading, and
that's really high def.
Really high def.
Yeah.
I'm always like at the top.
I'm at the top. Yeah.
And then you know, and then Alex is somewhere in the middle. He's at 48 usually, and so is Alf. And then Andy's like 44.1, super low bit rate, like down here, because he likes the old school analog stuff, and he has like really old school analog gear that can't go higher.
That's
so
right.
We're just like all across the spectrum, and then poor Alf is having to like
that's tough to do.
Resync it and
resync it.
Re-get everything together. So I have so much respect for Alf. And all
Did you not? Did you not change? You stayed at 96, right?
I did change. Like I was trying to like each time I was trying to like match. Eventually I was matching Andy at 44.1 on some of them. And I had a conversation with, and that's the hard thing about collaborating. Long distance is like sometimes you don't have conversations with everybody together, and so I'm trying to like piece together information, and so eventually by the end I realized everything was ending up at 48. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to record at 48. So he doesn't have to do any changing for it. So,
nothing at all?
Yeah, eventually we figured it out, but there's a couple tracks in there that were a little like all over the place and scattered.
Give me 1 sec. This is going to, there we go. And I forgot to start the recording. These are recording, but I wanted to actually like Pro Tools the shit out of this.
Yeah, get those nice microphones.
Exactly. Let's get some. So I know that Alex did Kabul, and I think he did like a Spy House or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a question I asked you earlier. Like he had to re-record him. Did you have to re-record your stuff after he gave you back what he wanted to do?
Not always. There were times though where once he had added his guitars, it really inspired me, and I was like, oh, I have more ideas now. And we did that a lot together, I think, back and forth, where I would add something, it would inspire him to do something, and then I would hear what he did, and it would inspire me, and we'd sort of go back and forth with that, which was really fun.
That's amazing. So obviously there's got to be multiple versions of the songs then.
Yeah, it's sort of early versions.
I noticed about your vocal mix, and just to geek out a little bit more, you are very upfront in some songs and very varied in some others. Was that your call?
I think that was mostly Alf was doing those mixes with Andy in Toronto. So I mostly just like let them do what they wanted to do. There were some times where I'd be like, oh, I think this could come up a little bit, or I think this could come back a little bit after they would send it, and I would give a little bit of feedback. But it was mostly Andy and Alf. Alf was, running the board, and those guys would get in the studio
I gotcha.
and mix together. But I let them.
You didn't mind it?
No. I mean, there were certain times where I'd be like, I don't necessarily agree with this, and that's the case with like any band. You have four people with different perspectives. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You probably wanted the vocals up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sometimes I didn't. There are certain songs where it's like I feel like the vocals are too far forward, and I want to hear everything else more. But
yeah.
Sometimes, I just want to.
I thought Kabul was like you were like way back in Kabul, which is really cool. I love that.
I love Kabul blues. It's funny.
So how much of the songwriting process was like, let's just throw everything in the kitchen sink? Because I hear a lot of, somebody knows how to use synthesizers, they know how to program synthesizers. Who is that?
That's actually a mix of people. So Alf does a lot of the synth work, but Andy also has some old school analog synths that he throws in there early on. Sometimes I'm not even sure which one of them is doing what, because they'll have it, a bed track, and then they'll send it to me, and they have already sort of worked together on things. But I know a lot of it's Alf, and then there's also other things that sound like synths that are Alex on his guitar. And you think, that's a really cool synth, but it's actually just some crazy backwards, strange thing he's done on the guitar.
His guitar.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
So who then was the principal songwriter? Or is it different for every song?
It's different for every song, but it also was very collaborative. For the most part, so Alex had his songs that I basically added vocal arrangements and lyrics and melodies to. And then I had old strings that I had written.
That was yours.
But then it changed a lot in the process musically. Like the chords and the structure and everything, the vocal is almost identical, but the music, they stripped out the instrumentation I had in there and brought other elements in that gave it a very different vibe. And then for most of the other songs, like Andy would send me a bed track that was usually like a minute long that he and Alf had worked on. And then I would take that and be like, okay, here's what feels like the verse to me and the chorus, and I would sort of edit it to show my idea for how
you wanted it.
How I wanted it, and then I would add my vocal ideas to it, and I would incorporate. Usually, Andy had like a little 2 or 3 word hook that he wanted to be in there.
Lyrics?
Like lyrics, yeah, like 3 words, and it was usually so it's kind of like this weird puzzle, right? So it's like he wants these 3 words in there, or he'll sometimes like send me a recording of like, this is what I want. I'm trying to think of a good example of that, but like it's a dog's life. It's a dog's life is that phrase, right? And so, and he had some other, and he was really sweet about it. He's like, I have some other ideas, but either take them or leave them. You do whatever you want. And so I would take the things that I really resonated with, and then I would rewrite other pieces or completely write something else around that piece.
Oh, wow.
So he originally, for Dog's Life, had a completely different like lyrical arrangement that I just didn't resonate with as much. And instead of taking that direction, I was like, to me, It's a Dog's Life is really resonating as feeling like overworked and working like a dog. And
he had a different take on it.
And he had a different take on it, and I took it into that direction and was like, this is where I'm resonating with it. And then I rewrote the lyrics for it and the vocal melodies, and went really, really aggressive with it. And
that was my next question. Yeah. Did you write all the lyrics?
I did. I wrote, I would say 90% of the lyrics.
Look at that. That's
but
so
Andy
cool.
would, he'd give me those little seeds and be like, I want this, and then I would write the lyrics around that thing, or he would have a name like Look Inside was the instrumentation, and then just the name Look Inside. I was like, okay, how do those 2 pieces feel like they fit together? And then I wrote Look Inside about introspection and trying to become a better version of yourself. And
I equate my analog of that is like when you see an architect and a client walks in and they say they walk in with a kitchen sink, a really nice one. They go, build a house around that.
Yeah.
Just the sync,
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you guys did. Like, you were given 2 words.
Yeah, 3 words, or just
2
a
words,
little phrase, or
and you had to do your business or do your magic or
Yeah.
whatever, and sort of build from that.
Yeah,
That's
but then there were
insane.
other songs like Liar. Andy had already written, like they had already finished Liar with another vocalist, and for the most part, it's pretty much the same. But I did rewrite.
Another vocalist, wow.
Yeah, I rewrote. It was like an old song that they had done with a different vocalist, and it was more. She was more of a traditional rock vocalist, and kind of like an old school voice, and they're like, we think this could be a good song for this project and with this style, and so they're like, you can rewrite whatever you want and make it your own. And so I rewrote some verses, and then made it more the style of the other songs. And
That's interesting. Was she used in any of the other songs, even as like a backup, the other singer?
No, yeah, I don't think so. But I think they had some other stuff that they had done with her as well. But yeah.
Before they met you.
Yeah.
Moving ahead to the tour, so we talked a little bit about how difficult this is, but is it vital in this day and age to tour, or can you do everything online and build a presence around yourself that way?
I really don't think you have to tour. I mean, like Enya never toured.
She
We were
didn't.
just listening to Enya, and
She
she
sold
just
300 million records.
she's got it down. But I think it really depends on the music and the audience and what you're doing with it. But I don't think we need to tour. I hope we do. I hope we do some shows, and I think there's a chance we will. But I definitely don't think you need to.
You don't need to. I'll keep that in the back of my mind,
Yeah.
Tara. But was it your plan to tour your own songs after you did the project with everybody, or did you already know that you were going to be touring your songs before you met them?
I already knew that I was going to be touring.
Wow.
But mostly because we had planned this tour and then COVID happened, and so it was just chaos trying to reschedule everything. But it sort of just worked out timing wise that we had the Envy of Men album done.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So obviously this is a do-it-yourself kind of world. Has it always though been that case? Is it any different than it has ever been?
Oh, it's so different.
Oh.
It's so different. Like the music industry is completely changing. It's changing every day. It's so hard to keep up with. It's changing so fast. Like the speed at which the industry changes now is just hyper fast. What's trending, what people are listening to. There's no you just can't pay attention to it at this point because you're going to be lost chasing this train that's just chaotic and moving everywhere. And but that's how social media is changing us. That's how the internet is changing us, and access to such fast entertainment all the time. But I think that there's good and bad things about it, right? People anywhere around the world can become famous in an instant now. You don't have to have a label. You don't have to have money even. You have talent and you have luck and you have timing on your side, and you can blow up. And and that's amazing. And that I love that accessibility of it. I love that anybody can record themselves now, that you can have a home studio anywhere and record amazing music. I love that it's accessible to anybody. But at the same time, it's oversaturated. Everyone's drowning and nobody's making money, right? Because the value of music has gone down because you can listen to anything for free. You don't have to pay for it. We were just doing it. Yeah. Spotify pays you hundreds of a penny for a stream. It's a pittance. It's like there's no value for music anymore, and yet it's everywhere.
So is that why you're saying you have to tour?
I do think you have to tour. I think if you want to make money,
yeah, that's what I was asking.
Touring is important, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I think like getting your music placed in film and television, if you have a hit song that's very syncable, placement. If you're Enya, right? If you have that one song that is so iconic, it gets placed in
a car commercial or
tons
something.
of movies and commercials, that can be revenue for the rest of your life. Or if you're really savvy with getting sponsorships on social media, if you have a really big following, there's other ways to make money. But at the same time, it just feels like it takes away a little bit from the
oh wow, so selling out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Are you're in that boat where if someone does that, are they selling out?
I don't think it's selling out, but I think it's sad. I think it's sad that
That's what you have to resort
that
to.
that person who has talent and could be spending time making beautiful music is spending time thinking about how do I make money so I don't starve.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
And a good point. So I had questions about how do you advertise yourself. You're just going online, I'm sure. And do you feel overwhelmed after starting the tour?
I do feel overwhelmed, but I felt overwhelmed before the tour, so.
Before the tour. Okay, so this might be therapy then for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was going to do one question here, but I'll do that last. So this is the fun section. This will be really quick.
Okay.
So anytime I, have done this before, I always ask weird questions. So what's the weirdest thing a fan has ever done for you? You don't have to answer that.
No, that's a really good question. I mean, I've gotten some really fun fan mail. Somebody crocheted me a little whale. That's not weird. That was really cute.
Oh, okay.
But
that's cute.
I've had people paint me. I think just like the intensity is sometimes what's weird, but that's part of it, I think, but I'm genuinely an awkward person, so I tend to not judge people for being weird because I feel like I'm weird. So I just
That's my next question.
Those are my people.
What is your biggest weirdest fear?
My biggest weirdest fear.
Yes. Is it a lot of people, like crowds? Or is it something else weird?
I think it's just the fear of being perceived in ways that I can't control. Yeah, and and that's life, being on stage in front of people. You don't know how people perceive you or the assumptions they make or anything, it's all completely out of your control anyway. But I think it's just I wish I could meet somebody and extend to them the fullest depths of who I am as a person, and they could just understand me,
It's tough though.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not an open book.
Right.
All right, next question. What would be your superpower if you had one?
I don't know. Maybe it would be levity. If I could
fly.
No.
I'm kidding.
That, but that. I mean, flying would be great, but I wish I could make everything lighter. I think the world is so heavy and dark all the time. If I could just bring lightness to the world all the time and joy and a little smile, little bits of dopamine would be great.
That would be great. I love that superpower, and flying would be good too.
Yeah, flying's great.
And I know what pet you would love to have because you brought the pet. Are you good at accents?
Crumbs. We just stayed with a friend who is has a British accent, and I was practicing my British slang and my British accent. I'm not very good at it.
Cockney?
Yeah, I was better at the Cockney accent,
yes.
But it was the crumbs. Crumbs is the only thing that I've been practicing. Crumbs.
That's the only word you can say
there
in
you
an accent.
Yeah.
That's so cute. All right. Next question. What would be a good theme song for your life?
Oh, okay. So there's a song that Miko came out with. It's called Weird World.
Miko. Oh, didn't you play that?
I did play one of her songs.
Yeah.
But basically, the chorus is I'll kick all of the ass that I need to. And it's just a great little weird mantra because life is weird.
Yes.
And sometimes you just gotta kick ass.
Which is interesting. I picture you as an introvert. But you're not. But you are.
I'm in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. An empath for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, real quick ones. What fictional character would you be the most exciting to meet in real life? Good question, isn't it?
It is.
You don't have to answer that because that's a tough one.
It is tough, but at the same time, I'm just going to say Hermione Granger.
Oh my god! What? She has the best spells. Okay. All right. I could buy that because she's awesome.
She is.
What are some of the things that sound like compliments but are actually insults?
You're really special.
Oh, really? That's a good one. What is the body part that you wouldn't mind losing?
Too bad the first thing I thought was my brain.
Done. That's a good one.
Just get
Because you
rid of
wouldn't
it.
mind losing, right? Because you want to get rid of all that heaviness you were just talking
Yeah.
about. What's the most useless talent you have?
Ooh, useless talent. Okay, that's a good. Well, I can do that. I can cross my eyes and do the like.
One
where you-
side.
Yeah, it's pretty useless. Not much you can
I'm
do
gonna
with
have to
that.
bring the camera up closer
Yeah.
for you to do that. That's really weird. Yeah, don't do that again. Do you sing in the shower?
I do sing in the shower.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody kind of does.
Mhm.
But, and the last question before the heavy one is, what's the weirdest question you've ever been asked? You don't have to answer that one either.
No, it's a good question. I'm trying to think.
Think about that one on the drive
ask
tomorrow.
a weird question, so I have a weird question for you.
all right, go
This
ahead.
is my weird question I ask
right.
everybody. If you had an extra arm, either coming out of your knee or your stomach, which would you choose and why? It's fully functional.
Okay, I would probably have it come out of my stomach because it's closer to my arms.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to carry something, I would be able to carry it.
Yes.
Right? That would be,
This feels logical. Yeah.
That's gross, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's a weird
It's around
question.
50-50. I've asked a lot of people.
Oh, really?
that
Really?
question, yeah.
50-50?
Mhm.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Last question, heavy one. Everyone goes through personal pain, mental anguish and stuff. What are your good coping skills to sort of tell everybody how to get through the negative downturns in life?
Oh, it's a really, really good question.
Mm.
So I studied with First Aid Arts in Seattle, which is an organization that works on arts-based methods for healing from trauma and improving your mental health. And so
Using
I do
arts,
this.
mhm.
I do this music and mental health workshop, and it is all about that and building emotional resilience and what tools do you have at your disposal to help you get through things. And music is definitely one of them. And there's all this science behind why music is so good for you. And but aside from music, I think it's really just taking time to myself, going to therapy. I love therapy. It's a great
pretty,
thing. Love it. I'm an open book when it comes to mental
Courageous
health.
for you to
I
mention
love
that.
talking about therapy.
Oh, okay.
So weird. I know
Okay.
that's weird for some people,
Yeah.
but like,
Some people kind of don't want to tell people that.
no, I think it's great. I think everybody needs to go to therapy. And I mean that in the best way. I think that like just being aware of how you're feeling and the reasons behind what you're feeling can be such a powerful thing, and your ability to cope with the things that happen to you on a day-to-day basis and how overwhelming those things can be at times. And it's helped me immensely. Like I don't think I'd be able to function without having the therapy that I've gone to, but also just being aware of the things going on in my head, because there's a lot.
That's really courageous to say that, because no one's ever gonna show their sort of their soft side, or they don't want to show like the bad stuff.
I am a
whatever
chronically
it is.
vulnerable person. I
Oh
love
my
it.
gosh, I love it. That's great. Well,
Maybe
thank
it's
you so
sadistic,
much.
I don't know.
Thanks. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, great.